Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's Wednesday night, which of course means it is match preview showtime as we quickly head towards game weekend 2 of the new Sky Bet League 2 season. Last weekend was opening day, of course, and we drew 1-1 at Accrington Stanley to get ourselves up and running. This weekend we host a side that probably shouldn't be in League One after their form during the first half of last season. But shouldn't be in League Two, should be in League One. But they do find us still in the same division as us. And I'm pleased to say, to talk through all things Walsall and all things Sadlers, I am joined by Seb Taylor. You can find him on X at Seb Taylor WFC, and he's also on YouTube, Super Sadler Seb. So I'll put his details down the bottom. Go and give him a follow. Go and subscribe to his channel. And Seb, welcome to the channel, mate.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Not a problem at all. Yeah, we just said off air, didn't we? Good to be back, and good to be back in the swing of things of proper football. Friendlies are all right, but once the proper stuff starts, it feels real again, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Right, I just want to say before we go any further, big thanks to everyone for opening weekend. Numbers on the channel were absolutely ridiculous. So 3,330 views across the preview, the match day live, and the review. 240 likes across them three videos. So thank you very much for all the support on that. And then obviously Monday night was the first episode of the League 2 Hour, and that went really well as well. Just short of 1,000 views on that one and 75 likes. So thanks to everybody who tuned in and watched and made comments and asked questions. It is really appreciated, and fingers crossed that continues to grow along with the channel. But tonight we want to find out about Walsall. Seb, first question I've got for you is about any sort of potential hangover, because I said at the beginning, you shouldn't be in this division. Your form up until probably the end of January was absolutely ridiculous. You were 12, 13 points clear, and then your form fell off a cliff. Was there a sense of trepidation amongst the fan base, maybe the coaching staff and the players heading into 25, 26? For a couple of reasons. Obviously, there's potential for a playoff hangover. Your form was pretty much relegation from February to the playoff final, even though you managed to get into the playoff final. You've lost a few key players: Liam Gordon, Ryan Stirk, Taylor Allen, David Akagbu have all gone. And I don't know if it's just me, and it always seems that Matt Sadler's one bad performance away from being lynched by the fan base. Is that fair, or is that just something that's maybe comes across as an outsider and is slightly different from within the supporter base of Walsall?
I think firstly, I think the support on Saturday, I'll probably speak about the game in this video,
Hmm.
but I thought the support against Swindon was fantastic, to be fair. I think I still can't get over what happened last season, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
And it seems like the season's quickly come up on us, obviously with the playoff finals, like end of May. And I really, it's probably still obviously in the back of our minds what happened last season. But end of the day, you've got to move on. And I think obviously it's a new season, new hope. And you couldn't have asked for a better start on Saturday, to be fair. I've had my critics of Matt Sadler, and it's
Hmm.
still there. Obviously, what happened last season, still very raw, but that was a brilliant way to get off to the season on Saturday. 10 men against Swindon for about 80 minutes, if you include injury time. Real kind of togetherness, spirit. And that's what we needed to kickstart the season. Hopefully, we can build on that, obviously, going to you guys. And then, obviously, still got a few tough games in August, still got to play. And likes of Grimsby, Salford, MK Dons. I think we've got Chesterfield first game in September. But what happened last season is probably one of the biggest bottles of all time in terms of the points we were at the
Hmm.
top of the league, the confidence going for the football club. We've got to try and move on, but like I said, it's still going to be in a lot of people's in the back of the mind, still in mind. Hopefully, we can kind of get off to a good start with a new team, like we mentioned, and obviously, that'll be a massive confidence booster for us.
Yeah, because I've spoken to other Walsall fans, and I was on a Walsall fan preview yesterday, and he said that I think one of the things that was level sadly last season, excuse me, was the fact that he almost over relied on that first 11 to the point where he burnt them out. And
Yeah.
then it was no coincidence that that poor run of form from February right through till the end of the regular campaign, at least, it was no coincidence that you dropped off because everybody was fatigued, and the lack of changes and rotation had meant that there were too many players that were running on empty for a long period of time. Do you think that that's something that hopefully Matt Sadler has learnt from, and that this season potentially he'll be able to rest and rotate the squad a bit better and keep them fresher for, all the way to game 46?
He's got to at the end of the day, Matt,
Mm.
because I think if he doesn't learn from last season what happened in the second half of the season, he'll ultimately pay the kind of consequences. He's probably very lucky to still be in a job, but the club have made a decision there. We've got to try and just kind of support him as much as we can. But he's got to learn from last season's mistakes, in my opinion. Like you just mentioned, the constant of just playing favourites that weren't on form was a massive kind of one of the many ifs of what happened in the back end of the season. I'll speak to one of my mates at the game the other day. There's probably 100 what ifs, what happened in probably about 3 months of football. That kind of period of time just drained me last season, and I was kind of, even though what happened was just terrible, happened at the back end of the season, I was glad to see the back of the season because some of the football we were playing was just really diabolical. I went away to Barrow, the results going our way in that game. I think Bradford lost to Swindon, and then we put in a performance like that, and I've got to be honest, first half of the season, I could not thought anything was going right at the football club. Everything was just going smoothly. Second half of the season, a lot of mistakes, but we're into a new campaign now. Matt Sadler's got to learn. The board and the owners, January let us down massively, I think, in terms of the recruitment we made. We didn't show enough ambition. A club that was top of the league should be, kind of attracting top end players for that kind of level. We're bringing in loans from obviously Ellis Harrison coming on loan. He was obviously third choice striker at MK Dons. There was a lot of mistakes from everyone involved, I think, but hopefully they've learned, and hopefully we go one better this season. We get promoted because we need to. 7th season in League Two now, alongside with you guys. We shouldn't be in this division at all in terms of the size of the clubs.
Yeah, no, it's just an interesting. I wanted to touch on recruitment because obviously one name that got brought up regularly after the fall off in terms of form last year was Nathan Lowe. 17 goals, I think it was, before the turn of the year, and then he went back to Stoke. And again, it's no coincidence that the form fell off. I mean, Jamil Matt had a good season. You had other players that still done all right. Taylor Allen from defence. Do you think there's going to be a concerted effort to look slightly differently at how transfers are done, in the sense that you don't end up with all your eggs in one proverbial basket in like a Nathan Lowe? And then, because the people I've written down, you've brought in Vincent Harper from Exeter, you've brought in Lewis Warrington from Orient, Aaron Presley from Stevenage, who, looking at the highlights, played well at the weekend. Different type of player, obviously, to Nathan Lowe. Is it a case of maybe more people have got to step up and the responsibility has to be spread around a little bit more so that you don't end up in the same situation?
100%. I think, obviously, Nathan Lowe getting recalled in January, it did have an impact on us, but it was just not down to him getting recalled in Jan of our downfall. But like mentioned, Matt Sadler's kind of naivety to keep playing the same players that were not on form. His tactics, he was just kind of very stubborn in the way he kind of set up, and it was very predictable. But like you said, you spot on. More players got to step up this season. Look, we've lost a couple of key players, like to Taylor Allen, Ryan Sturck. I guess with the new players coming in, they obviously don't have what happened last season. A lot of the players we brought in their mind, so it's obviously a kind of a clean slate. It might work for us. Obviously, it's a new team. We've still got to gel, I think, in my opinion. Obviously, it was a brilliant start on Saturday, but very hard to kind of based off of how we're going to play, because it's a different type of game, and you go down to 10 men after 20 minutes, sit behind the ball. We did it fantastically. You can definitely see the spirit and the effort from the players. They're there for the club, to be fair, and I can't fault that from the first game. Got to continue that. But, I think if we talk about recruitment so far this summer, I think it's been decent. Mentioned about Aaron Presley. Obviously, on paper, his goal record probably not there, but I'm liking the look of him. Obviously, the way Matt Sadler likes to play it, kind of bypass the midfield up to the striker and just try and work off scraps. In my opinion, that's the best way I'd probably describe Matt Sadler's football, and he kind of suits that. To be honest with you, he's a handful, wins flick-ons. I think he will suit the system alongside with Johnny Stuttle, and I think there's been some decent signs. And also, we've gone into the kind of A-League in Australian recruitment with Jake Holman coming in as well. Some interesting signings. We'll wait and see how they go in the EFL.
That's it. That's all you can do. It's one game, isn't it? And you winning doesn't mean you're going to get promoted in the same way that Crawley losing 3-0 at Grimsby don't mean they're going to get relegated. It's far too early. Let's talk about Saturday because I watched the highlights, doing research for the new show, and it was a mad game. Like, you look at it on paper, it's a really good result for Walsall. You then look at the fact that they played with 10 men for 70, 80 minutes, makes it an even better result. Swindon have missed lots of chances at 1-0 after the red card. And like you said, it is so difficult to gauge. It's a good performance, Seb, because you've played with 10 men for 80 minutes and you've got yourselves over the line. But you're not going to find out what a Walsall team looks like with the ball, are you? Because you barely had it. I suppose the only concern to come out of it is that you've got two players who've had two absolute brain farts. Brandon Comley, after tripping over his teammate and then rugby tackling Harry Smith. And then I know the penalty looks a bit soft, but it's this new rule, I think, isn't it? Is it pulling in the box is going to be given now by
Rico Brown.
Brown gave the penalty away. And then from 1-1, everyone probably thinks Swindon are going to go on and win it. And then you turn in a brilliant defensive performance. And all right, Swindon are probably going to ask questions of their defensive play for the winner, but it's a really good winner.
Yeah.
The lad, was it Barrett scored the winner?
Yeah, Connor Barrett, yeah.
And played a 1-2 with the lad who come off the bench as well, who had a really positive impact. Was it Courtney Clark?
Yeah, he
Who,
looked
by all
really
accounts, was really
well.
bright. So,
Mhm.
like we've already said, it's one game, but where do you put it in terms of performance? Because there's so many anomalies that sort of skew all the data, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, if we talk about the game, I was looking through some of the kind of games in League Two. A lot of kind of 1-0s, 0-0s. That had everything on Saturday. The
Hmm.
atmosphere, Swindon brought quite a few fans. Obviously, you got the red card, the penalty, the goal at the end is probably one of the most bizarre goals I've ever seen because it's good play from us, but their defence just kind of split apart. Massive gap comes in, and it's decent finish from Connor Barrett in the end. But had a bit of everything. You've got to win games like that at the end of the day, and I think obviously not everything's going to go your way in football, and I think that's a good side to see from us. Some good performances in there, maybe players to watch out for. Obviously, you mentioned about Rico Brown. That is not a penalty in my opinion. Now you talk about kind of the new rule, but
Oh, I agree.
so
I agree with you.
yeah,
But it seems that it's like 2 years ago when we got told about extra additional time, wasn't it? And for a month, everyone played 15 minutes extra. I
that's it.
think it'll probably phase out. But yeah, there was your one. I think there was one. Mickey Dimitri was penalised in the Crew game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the law says if you hold on without looking at the ball, which is where the problem comes. But yeah, soft at best. Absolutely. I'd be a bit annoyed if I was a fan of the defending team. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's very soft, but he's a player to watch out for. Rico Brown. He's had a really good pre-season, and I think he will be one of our best defenders going into this campaign. He didn't get much of a look in last season. I don't think that was actually his EFL debut. We brought him in around October time last season. Played a
Hmm.
few cup games, looked quite good, but really started the season well. But yeah, some promising signs from Saturday. You got Aidan Flint at the back. I'm hoping he can continue this into this season, that performance, because if we have that for the majority of the season, I think that could be very key. And if we'd have had him in the team last season, I'm kind of convinced we'd have gone up in terms of the mentality he brings. He's talking to every player. He's a real captain. We've missed that. We've got quite a young squad on
Mm.
paper, I think, which is good, I think. A lot of energy in the play, but you need the experienced heads in there, bit of a balance. I think we've kind of getting that now in terms of some of the signs we've brought in, a few experienced players. But on the whole, Saturday, we couldn't have asked for a better start in terms of the circumstances what happened in the game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, even if you take a point out of that game, you're happy. But to nick it
Yeah,
like the final stages is really impressive. Another centre half that I want to talk about because obviously we've mentioned the departure of Taylor Allen, who had something like 15 goal contributions last season, which was phenomenal for a defender. Evan Weir's basically gone hold my beer and said I'll do that job this season because that's an absolutely delicious free kick to open the scoring.
absolutely top draw, mate. You won't see many kind of players hit a strike like that in League Two, and he showed it in his time at Drogheda. Actually, saw a few clips on it. I wasn't surprised when he played last season. The few appearances he played, he went on for set piece. Obviously, we did have Taylor Allen there, but absolutely brilliant set piece on him. I think it's going to be a big season for him. you look at some of the performances he put in last season, he did not put a foot wrong. And we talk about Matt Sadler sticking to his favourites. How he didn't get a chance last season is absolutely criminal, because I think he's a real good player. He's got a good left foot on him. I wouldn't say very similar player to Tyler Allen, but he's got that similar attribute of that left-footed centre back that we have in the back three. Hits the ball so sweet, but I think he could do a job at left wing back as well. He actually played there for the last 10 minutes or so, I think, when Farquharson come on Saturday, and he's got legs for days. I think he can keep running. I think he's going to be a big player for us this season, and that's probably going to be up there with one of our goals of the season already on the first match there.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be certainly a contender for goal of the month at worst. And you mentioned Farquharson, who came in as I thought was a good signing for you last summer. Unfortunately, bad injury has only limited his game time. So I guess that's almost like a new signing as well, having Priestley back available.
Yeah, he's been with us for, I think he signed in 2023. I think he's only played something like 23 games for Walsall over the last couple of seasons. So he's been kind of, had these injury problems, which he needs to stay fully fit this season. But I think he's a decent centre half for the level. I think him and Aidan Flint will probably rotate in games, and I think they're two decent options, provided with the experience in the back line. And yeah, fingers crossed for him, he can stay injury free this season.
Yeah, absolutely. No one likes to see players missing games. I want to ask you this and take out Saturday's performance and result as if we was asking you before the first game, Seb. What were the aims for this season based on what had happened at the end of the last campaign? I predicted you 16th, and I've given my reasons why. I think, a lot of player departures, question marks over Matt Sadler. Um, and obviously then the potential for this massive hangover and trying to get over the huge loss of form that lasted for the best part of half a season. There's no point dressing it up. So I had you to finish 16th, and I'll sit here and happily eat humble pie if you finish in the playoffs or higher. That's not a problem at all. But what were your hopes for the season? Was it go again and try and get in the top three, the top seven, or did you think there might have to be a little bit of sort of transition and a bit of consolidation, having lost, sort of four from your starting 11?
Yeah, I think obviously it's basically a new side, so people can obviously say the transition part, but the aim this season for us is to get promoted.
Okay.
Our owners put out something a couple of seasons ago. We want to see incremental progress from the club. We finished fourth last season, so the next step after fourth is to get into top three and obviously finish there this time. There has to be the aim. Like I mentioned earlier, seventh season in League Two. I saw a stat a few months ago. I think we've played the fourth highest amount of games in League One. So we're still in League Two. I know it's the way it goes sometimes, but we've got to get promoted this season. It's Matt Sadler's third season in charge. He has to get promoted. If he doesn't get promoted this season, I can't see him being in the job at the end of the season. But obviously, that's a decision for the club to make. We'll wait and see how the season goes. I'll put us about 13th, so probably not far for your prediction. I wasn't obviously hopeful going into the season. A lot of unknowns, I said in kind of my predictions video for us going into the season. See how it kind of plays out in the end. I'm hoping it's a successful season and hopefully it doesn't end as badly as it did last season.
Who plays instead of Brandon Comley Saturday? Because I'm assuming that'll be the only change. You wouldn't change anything else, would you?
Yeah, that'll be the only change. I think it'll be, you mentioned him earlier, Lewis Warrington. He'll probably come to the side. And I thought he did okay when he come on. Obviously, we've got other midfield options as well. You got Jake Coleman, he had a bright appearance when he come on. Courtney Clark can also play in the midfield as well. But yeah, it'll be a 3-5-2. Presley and obviously Stuttle will start up front. We've got Impact off the bench as well. Adoma, he's just a class act, isn't he? Come on Saturday, just doesn't stop running. He's a valuable player in our side. Other options as well, like I said, Holman to come off the bench. Vincent Harper wasn't actually on the bench or the squad on Saturday, which surprised me a little bit. But obviously, it's a long season. Wait and see. But yeah, 3-5-2. That one change with Warrington coming in for Comley.
Interesting, because he's going to be up probably against then potentially Bradley Dack. So 22-year-old up against a 31-year-old who's obviously got loads of experience as well. So that could be a really interesting battle and one to keep an eye on. Looking at recent history, because obviously there's no point going off of form this season because it's been 90 minutes. Since 2015-16, when we were both really good in League One, Seems
Hmm.
like a lifetime ago now. 14 games, 2 wins for the Gills, 6 draws and 6 wins for the Sadlers. Scored 11, the Gills, and conceded 20. At the Priestfield in that period, 7 games, 5 draws. Um, Not high scoring, not thrillers. I think there's been 10 scored in them 7 games at the Priestfield. So it doesn't scream over 2.5 goals at the weekend, does it? What's your score prediction, mate?
Score prediction. I speak to you early in the week. I think there's not good. I don't think it's going to be a thriller. Like we mentioned, last season was a 0-0. I remember watching that game, and it was just a very poor watch from both sides. I think under you guys, Gareth Ainsworth, I think he will get you playing. Obviously, looked like the game on the weekend. Obviously, if you want to come in and say, but didn't look like the greatest performance, was it?
No, it wasn't. But the anomaly to that was, unfortunately, we've signed 2 strikers to improve us up top, and both were unavailable. Sam Vokes is still
Oh,
recovering from a broken arm, and Seb Palmer Olden, who was at Newport a couple of summers ago, a season ago, and did all right. We
yeah.
bought him in from Bristol City. He had a really good. He hadn't scored in pre-season, but looked really, really bright. And then he looked like he tweaked hamstring in the final friendly. So essentially, it was the same team as last year. Again, the anomalies are Bradley Dack looks fitter. Ethan Coleman, when he plays, will look fitter because he didn't get a pre-season. But yeah, it was it was a first day performance, I'd call it. But
Mm-hmm.
the positive was that we got out of it and didn't get beat when you've not played at your best. But we've got to be better. We didn't have a shot on target. We have to be better than that if we want to be anything more than a mid-table team. So hopefully, home crowd might see a little bit more of the ball if you want, because you might play on the counter a little bit being away. Um, but again, it's game 2, isn't it? There's a long way to go.
Long way to go. But I think it'll be quite an edgy game. I don't think there's going to be much between the two sides. Obviously, you said about Bradley Dack. If he doesn't pick up any injuries this season, he's going to be. We know how good Bradley Dack is. He just needs to stay injury free. You've got some other good players as well. I think defensively, he's solid. I think
Yep.
over the last couple of seasons, you've struggled in front of goal. So, like I said, I don't think there's going to be many goals in the game. I'm going to go positive. Clean sheet for Walsall. I'm going to go Gillingham 0, Walsall 1 with Aaron Presley to score.
I've gone down the route of history and said 1-1 draw.
On 1.
So
Got
that's
so many over the last couple of seasons.
yeah, they all seem to be 1-1 or 0-0, don't they? It was what was it,
Yeah,
1-1 or 0-0 last season?
yeah.
Although you got away with it at your place because there was a Stonewall penalty at 1-1, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Seb,
Was that the game with who hit the brilliant shot?
Mackenzie, yeah,
Yeah,
Mackenzie,
that
yeah.
class goal. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that comfortably won our goal of the season. No surprises at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good player, Robbie Mackenzie, and I think last season was probably his best for the club because he finally nailed down a position, which was great to see. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Are you coming down?
Yes, I will be there. Long 3.5 hour trek, so hopefully it's worth it in the end.
That's next door for Gills fans. 3.5 hours. What are you talking about? Well, hopefully, I'll drop you a message because I usually get there for 2. So if you're still outside the ground, I'll give you a shout and you can come on and we'll have a chat before the game on the channel.
Yeah, nice one. Just give me a message. That's it.
Will do. Seb, it's been a real pleasure, mate. And to everybody who's still watching at this point, as I say, thank you very much. Please keep hitting that like button. The first preview of the season was really well received. We've got 95 likes. So if we can get to 75 on this one, I'll really appreciate it. If you can continue to hit that subscribe button, it really is appreciated as well. It's great for the channel. Big thanks to Seb. Like I say, his details are in the description. We'll be back Saturday at the Priestfield for the match day live for the first home game of the season. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. And most importantly, up the Gills